Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Association of British Scholars and the B.M. Anand Foundation, I welcome you all to the talk by His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, on the art of happiness. His Holiness, the 14th Dalai Lama, Tenzin Gyatso, is the spiritual and temporal leader of the Tibetan people, the embodiment of compassion. He's very special, not just for the Tibetans, but to people from all parts of the world. So may I request you to put your hands together and give him a very warm welcome. The spirit of kindness and compassion that emanates from him envelops you and completely transforms each one of us. The Dalai Lama is truly the highest teacher or spiritual guru of Buddhism. Celebrated as an effective public speaker, the Dalai Lama is often described to be a charismatic personality. His message is always one of peace and compassion for people all over the world. During his travels abroad, he has stressed the need for a better understanding of and respect among different faiths of the world. For his peaceful advocacy, the Dalai Lama received the Nobel Prize in 1989. He has always advocated peaceful solutions based on tolerance and mutual respect in order to preserve the historical and cultural heritage of his people. In recent years, numerous universities and institutions have conferred peace awards and honorary doctorate degrees upon the Dalai Lama in recognition of his distinguished writings in Buddhist philosophy, as well as his outstanding leadership in the service of freedom and peace. The Association of British Scholars is indeed humbled and blessed to have the Dalai Lama with us today. The Association of British Scholars is a national forum that helps the networking of Indians who have studied or trained in the United Kingdom, and ABS has been for the last 22 years been working to strengthen Indo-UK relationships by harnessing the resources, expertise and potential of every ABS chapter through networking, sharing information, and hosting social, cultural, and intellectual activities. The Association of British Scholars has over 25 chapters all over India, and they have been working in the past closely with all leading industry associations like ASSOCHAM, FICCI, CII, and even British and European business groups in India. In the past, the Association of British Scholars has held shows with celebrated spiritual gurus and leaders like Sri Sri Ravi Shankarji, Deepak Chopra, and Baba Ramdev. Stalwarts from the entertainment world like Shafqat Ali Khan, numerous events that have addressed social causes, be it for the disabled, for students and colleges, or even important topics like disaster management. Today we are grateful to Mr. Neeraj Gulati, founder B.M. Anand Association, for partnering with us for this talk by the Dalai Lama. Neeraj is a first-generation entrepreneur who is a visionary in the field of real estate and education, and he set up the B.M. Anand Foundation to restore, preserve, and propagate the work and vision of the late painter and illustrator Brij Mohan Anand. A profoundly talented and largely self-taught artist, Anand's unusual aesthetic formed a sustained response to the politics of his time and to some of the transformational events which have shaped modern Indian consciousness. His is an important voice, which represents an entire generation of indigenous artists, thinkers, and intellectuals who did not receive the recognition they deserved. The purpose of the B.M. Anand Foundation is to preserve the late Mr. Anand's aesthetic legacy, reflective of his humanist values and social ideals, and to bring about recognition of his contribution to India's post-independence cultural heritage. His aesthetics and values deeply resonate with the message of His Holiness for world peace and harmony. I would like to now request the committee members of the Association of British Scholars to please come up and offer a garland to the Dalai Lama. Mr. Vipin Chopra, Ms. Anjali Quatra, Tarun Singhal, Mr. P.K. Verma, Rajit Sinha, Pankaj Jain, Mahajan, S.L. Bhamri, Sanjeev Sethi, Penta Anil, and Indrajit Lal. A louder round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. Thank you very much. I'd like to now request Mr. Neeraj Gulati, founder of the M. Anand Foundation, to please accompany Mr. Kunda Vishweshwara Reddy, Member of Parliament, to come up on stage and offer flowers to the Dalai Lama.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, events of this kind require a lot of support, and we have hands that work silently to make such events happen. We would like His Holiness to bless these hands who have worked backstage. They are Anup, Venkat, and Chinmay. Please come up and offer flowers to the Dalai Lama. Anup, Venkat, and Chinmay. Thank you so much, Your Holiness. Mr. Vipin Chopra, the President of the Association of British Scholars, has had a long and illustrious career in public relations and communications in the government and private sector. Today, he advises, counsels, and guides leading companies to strategize their growth. The founder-president of ABS, Vipin believes in using his expertise and that of the over 1,000 members of the Association of British Scholars to work for the good of society at large. His networking skills are well known in the corridors of power and government, and he's deeply committed to work in an ethical manner and share his experience among well-meaning people. And I request him to say a few words in welcome.
Good morning to the respected Holiness Dalai Lama ji and Shri Kunda Vishweshwar Reddy ji, Member of Parliament, Lok Sabha, and dear friends. Today we are blessed to be in the presence of His Holiness, who has taken time to impart wisdom on the art of happiness, which is needed in this fast-track world of ours. On behalf of the Association of British Scholars, I would like to thank all the friends who are presented here, and especially like to thank Mr. Seling Tempaji, Director of His Holiness Office, who constantly guided us throughout. My dear friend Mr. Neeraj Gulati, founder of DM Anand Foundation and Managing Director of Asotech Realty and our sponsor for the event, has extended his support and encouragement to this event. I am grateful that he has always been available for occasions such as these. There are a few special people who gave unwavering support, and I mention a few names due to the shortage of time. Mr. Ravindra Lal, Chairman of Law Pathology, Mr. Rajiv Verma, CEO of Hindustan Times, Mr. Ashok Vajpayee, Managing Director of Group 4, Dr. Vinay Goyal and Dr. Chanchal Goyal of AIMS, Mr. Nick, Regional Director, British High Commission, Mr. Luke Shukla, renowned chartered accountant, and Mr. Rajesh Tiwari of CSR Today, and many others I am not able to mention. Please bear with me. Mr. Mohit Bhardwaj and Mr. Shravan Rajguru, together with their team from the Speaking Tree, have helped us with the media promotions for this event. I would also like to thank all the schools and colleges like MIT, British School, Sanskriti, the Banyan Tree and St. Mary and other schools who have sent their hundreds of students to participate in this event. I am sure this will be an enlightening experience for these children. To the Association of British Scholars Committee and all the members, I am humbly grateful for their outstanding support and cooperation. My special gratitude goes out to my family, my wife Nita Chopra and daughters Tanvi and Tanjil, who have stood with me through all of my endeavors. Finally, I thank the event committee who have worked very hard to make this event possible, and I humbly must express my gratitude to His Holiness and seek His blessings. To all who have come, thank you and have a safe trip back.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bipin Chopra. Ladies and gentlemen, though His Holiness has been heard to say, "I am a simple monk, no more, no less, that's all," we can learn a lot from the characteristics of a simple monk. A simple monk cultivates immeasurable joy, equanimity, and compassion. A simple monk sees the lowest being as his master, a threatening enemy as his teacher. A simple monk achieves greatness in the eyes of others because he knows he is nothing special to begin with. And a simple monk always occupies the position of a servant, even when sitting on the teaching throne. Through his words and deeds, the Dalai Lama has embodied these characteristics, spreading a message of peace, justice, mercy, humility, and hope. At a time in our world when such qualities all too frequently seem to be in short supply. Nearly every time that you see him, he's laughing, or at least smiling. And he makes everyone around him feel like smiling. Just spending a few minutes in his presence and you begin to feel happier. Isn't that true? If you ask him if he's happy, the Dalai Lama will give you an unconditional yes as an answer. What's more, he'll tell you that happiness is the purpose of life, and that the very motion of our life is working towards happiness. Through his conversations, through his stories and meditations, the Dalai Lama shows us how to defeat day-to-day anxiety, insecurity, anger, and discouragement. He has even written about it in books, sharing his insights into the simple pleasures of happiness. We are therefore most fortunate to be in the presence today of a great teacher. No matter what religion or faith you follow, let us be fully alert to and accepting his message to live responsibly for our sake and for those who will follow us on this earth. Today, ladies and gentlemen, I invite His Holiness to speak to us on the art of happiness. Your Holiness.
Thank you. Your time is now year by year increasing. So I want to seek permission from come to the chair. There was, of course, I always start the word brothers, sisters. Firstly, I would like to say thank you. You give me this opportunity. Thank you. Thank you. And then also to those people who help to materialize this function. So I very much appreciate it. Thank you. Then that flower, I think, although it's a formal welcoming and expression of warm-heartedness, but actually it is too heavy. It really is put on my neck. I may fall. So now, wherever I meet people, I always have the feeling we are same. We are same human being. As a matter of fact, 7 billion human beings, the same. The way we born, the way we die, they are same. And actually, I think all entire 7 human beings, mentally, emotionally, and physically also, they are same. The most important, that from birth, everyone wants happy life, joyful life, do not want problem, suffering. But then more important, now some scientists say, through their sort of investigation, experiment, they say basic human nature is more compassionate. When I heard that, I really feel, oh, now there is real hope. Basic human nature is more compassionate. If basic human nature is anger, there's not much hope. Obviously, as soon as we're born, naturally, we trust our mother. And mother also take care of us. There's a mother, parent in general, particularly mother, provide us with immense source of love. Some scientists say after birth, the mother's physical touch, the young child, is a crucial factor for proper enlargement of the brain. Obviously, those children who received was a maximum affection from their mother, the rest of their life, deep inside, more happy and less ferocity and fear like that. Those children who received lacking about human mother's affection, their whole life, deep inside, no matter how successful or weakly, deep inside, some sense of insecurity. So, our life started that way. And then, medical scientists, they say, constant fear, constant anger, actually eating our immune system. Whereas people who keep more compassionate feeling, they are physically much healthier. So this shows even a person who the very day will die, still surrounded by friends, trusted friend, with full love, much happier. Money big name, no pleasure. So our life, from beginning till our death, love or affection is key factor. And then we are, first of course, we are a social animal. Any social animal, mentally, this is some factor which bring together. That's affection, love. Even other social animals, you see, they have, although compared with human being, much limited, but still they also have the sort of ability to bring together. So now, from birth, you see, we have this sort of capacity of this quality. It is something very important. Now it is, I think, important to remind this importance because our life very much in the atmosphere of materialistic culture, materialistic life. We have not much talk about this inner value. We always talk money, power, and these things. So because we neglect about this inner value, around 7 billion, among 7 billion human beings, besides nature, suffering from nature disaster, a lot of problems, essentially our own creation, including violence, our own creation, and the gap rich and poor, too much exploitation, bullying, cheating, all these our own creation, lack of sense of concern of others will be, respect their right, their life. We are lacking that. Just think, me, myself. Self-centered attitude. Self-centered attitude is the basis of jealousy. Competition or distrust, all these, and fear. More self-centered attitude than fear. Fear brings irritation. Irritation creates anger. Anger creates violence. So that is now, today, I think, east, west, north, south, everywhere. I think man-made problem everywhere. If today's situation continues to go, I think this 21st century also can be similar 20th century's sort of situation, or violence. In 20th century, over 200 human beings killed. Or 200 millions of people killed through violence. Immense violence, immense suffering. Really, does it produce a better world? No. So therefore, every sensible human being must think the situation, the 20th century sort of situation should not repeat now 21st century. How? Through prayer? No. Through puja? No. I think we Tibetan in 40s, 50s, a lot of puja, but nothing happened. So action makes differences. Action with sincere motivation and vision. Vision. So now here, this 21st century, so now, since a lot of man-made problem we are facing, now how to reduce that entirely depend on ourselves. So then, I always see telling people with my sort of observations where the existing modern education system not adequate to bring more kasuda, more peaceful or happy human being. Because modern education very much oriented about material value, not much talk about our inner value. When inner value about the matter, inner value comes, we usually sit around on religious belief. Then religion, now today, out of 7 billion human beings, over 1 billion non-believer, and the remaining 6 billion supposed believer. But in real day-to-day life, most of them are educated with materialistic education. So these religious people also not seriously follow their faith. If you faith, if you follow sincerely, you see, there is a different tradition. Basically, all major world traditions have same message of love, forgiveness, tolerance, self-discipline. So all major world traditions all have same potential to create better human being, compassionate human being. But we are not very seriously follow the real message of one's own religion. So therefore, now only hope is through education. I think we must educate people from kindergarten up to university level. Besides education, more or less oriented about material value, plus education, how to tackle our emotion, how to bring inner peace. Inner peace, you say, firstly we have to investigate what's the destroyer of inner peace. Anger, outside condition. Of course, some extent, some sort of influence, some in bed. But main source to create restlessness. Here, mind, come from mind itself. So therefore, now in education should include some education about the system of our emotion. I usually use it describing. In education, we also do to educate on subject we call hygiene of physical. So then why not? We should include hygiene of emotion. For that, you need some knowledge about the whole system of our emotion. With fuller knowledge about the system of emotion, then we become better positioned to tackle these destructive emotions. Not necessarily religious person. Simply use our intelligence. As I mentioned earlier, basic human nature is more compassionate. That's basis. Now, our brilliant human brain should utilize to strengthen that basic human value. So now here, you see the basic human value, warm-heartedness, compassion, brings inner peace. And with combine our intelligence, when we come across some problem, usually we look only that problem side, negative side, then frustration, anger. Now here, our intelligence has great role. What problem come, look from wider perspective, a different dimension, right? Different dimension. The things are relative. If something really you feel frustration, you angry. Look from different angle. Oh, that same event may bring some positive things, or maybe some good aspect. If you look from wider perspective, at different angle, that the intensity of irritation reduces. So here, the warm-heartedness alone cannot do that with help of human intelligence. Then also far-sightedness, rare. Today, you develop anger. But then think, if this anger keeps, what use, what benefit after 1 year or few years? Today, you say, your so-called your enemy. If we deal properly, reasonably, today's enemy, next year may become a very good friend. So keeping in our mind this intelligence, no more far-sighted and more holistic. Then we can easily counter our anger, these things. And then plus, now scientists, as I mentioned earlier, say they consider anger very bad for our health. And sometimes I jokingly say telling, particularly ladies, you know, the lady is making some beauty cosmetic, with good look, but angry face, nobody loves. So real beauty is inner beauty. I think 40 years ago, 50 years ago, you see, one Tibetan government official, monk official, really trusted official. Eventually he disrobed. So I full trust that officials. So their subject is word, beauty, you come now. So then since we know each other very well, so sometimes I tease him, or you disrobed, but your wife, not that much attractive. I tease him, then his response, oh, physically not much attractive, but inner beauty is very, very good. Then I have no more any argument. So like that, see, our face, human face, I think some special ability to show our different emotion. Heartedness, kindness, compassion. You see, shows. Oh, one time I met one Catholic monk in Barcelona. I think you may know Montserrat. Montserrat is a one monastery or temple there. Many years ago, when I visited that monastery, there's some sort of organizer told me one monk who spent in the mountain 5 years in hermit life, almost no hot meal, just tea and bread. So he came and we met. Little sort of strange thing. His English, very broken English, worse than me. So then I am more proud to use my broken English to talk with him. So then I asked him, I was told, you spent 5 years in hermit life. And I asked, what kind of practice during those years? He answered me, meditate on love. When he answered that, I noticed his eye, something special significance. So we have this, our facial. Oh, one of my American sort of friend, one scientist, Paul Ekman, on the basis of facial expression. You see, I think he concluded 16 different emotions on the basis of facial expressions. So in any way, real inner beauty, that's the basis of trust. Inner beauty. So trust, very important. We are social animals. Friendship, highly necessary. In order to create friendship, trust is key factor. Friendship due to money, due to power is temporary. But friendship, trust. Trust will come if you show them your sincere concern about their well-being, then trust comes. So we love friends. We need friends. But sometimes we feel, with money you make it more friend, with power, more good friend. These friends actually friend of power, friend of money. When your fortune goes that way, these friends come. When your fortune goes that way, these friends no longer come. So these are not genuine human friends. Genuine human friends. You see, entirely based on love, not money, not power. So since we are social animals, no matter how one individual is very powerful, but his or her survival entirely depends on the community. So community is source of our survival, our happiness. So respect them, show them your sincere feeling. So therefore, now I committed not only just myself, number of scientists, a number of educationists. Now we have sort of a common view. In modern time, we should pay more attention in education field about inner man. Strictly according to a secular way, not based on religion. Just our common experience, common sense, and So we are working that. So now, wholeheartedness from birth we already have. Now we should use our intelligence, cooperate with that nature positive factor. Then we can promote human compassion. Now today's world, these inner value, I think, highly relevant. People, you see, try to reduce problem, paying more attention to what we have, and making divisions is the source of further problems. I think in order to achieve genuine, peaceful world, eventually, I think we should imagine, we should pray, demilitarize the world. And any problem come, we must try to solve through understanding, through thought, through some dialogue. So these days I have often said, in order to create peaceful century, this century should be century of dialogue. In order to carry meaningful dialogue, you must respect their interest, their right, and some kind of compromise, spiritual compromise. So one side will agree, one side different, impossible. Whole. So everything interpreted. Now today's world, the global warming and global economy. Now there's no boundary. Each boundary with different state. There's not much difference. We have to think humanity. So therefore, now key factor for happier 21st century, happier humanity. Now we need sense of oneness of 7 billion human beings and strong sense of one human community in this planet. So that I always recall. So that we can promote through education, as I mentioned. So we already working like Emory University in America, and also with some organization in this country, some individual, of course. Now really we are working. Now last few years we already produce some sort of paper, some draft or curriculum like that. So I think within this year we may ready to produce some draft about curriculum with secular ethics like that. Then another thing I want to tell you, that is when we firstly came to India in 1959, our main concern is how to preserve our knowledge and including our language. So at that time, Martin Nehru really immensely, was long-sighted. So the early refugee life, our main concern is how to preserve. Now gradually, in 70s, 80s, sorry. So in 80s, now I realize, the knowledge which we kept over 1,000 years, originally come from India, Nalanda masters. So besides religion, besides Buddhism, psychology and logic and certain philosophy, which similar controversies. The Indian concept about essence of controversies, 2000 years already developed. Rajaramana, late Rajaramana once told me, controversies in the West, something new, but in this country, he found 2000 years ago that concept already developed in this country. He found Nagarjuna's text, that concept. So like that, you see, these are your knowledge, ancient Indian knowledge. 8th century, Tibetan emperor invited one great scholar, a monk of Nalanda, Shadarashita. He invited to Tibet. He introduced Buddhism according to Nalanda tradition. Nalanda tradition, not just the prayer or these ritual things, but not a philosophical sort of explanation and system of human mind, human psychology, and extensively use logic, Brahman. So therefore, the 80s, then I found all the knowledge which we get in Tibet, 1,000 years, through serious study, at least 20, 30 years study. So now I found this knowledge now not only one ancient Indian knowledge, but also relevant to today's world. Therefore, in the last 30 years, more than 30 years, serious discussion with modern scientists, mainly cosmology, neurobiology, and physics, especially quantum physics, then psychology. I noticed there's many scientists really showing eagerness to learn these sort of different sort of information like that. So then, now I'm fully convinced now these ancient Indian knowledge which we get till now, I think now time comes to share Indian original sources. So I usually describe Indian historically our guru. We are Chela. I also is mentioning, you see, we not only Chela, but also quite a reliable Chela. So, the old Guru's movement, not myself, ups and downs, and now Nalanda institution just ruined. Some pigeons there, crow fly here, there, like that, nothing. So all this knowledge we get, possible. Now time comes, this knowledge, revival in this country. So that I think India have this sort of potential. Combination, modern education and ancient Indian knowledge, combine these two things. So that not only bring physical comfort, modern education, technology, science needs, bring us physical comfort, economic development, modernization. Wonderful, we need. Meantime, ancient Indian knowledge bring healthy mind, peaceful mind. So today's world needs this knowledge. So therefore, now one of my commitment is not only myself, but many, over 1,000 monk students who have this knowledge. Now, you should use their knowledge in order to revive this ancient knowledge, not religion, not Buddhism, but psychology, physics, and then logic. These things should consider as an academic subject. Like that. So, I think only this country, India, have this potential, no other country. Like that. So that I want to share with you. And then, lastly, time always moving. Never stand still. So past is past. Nobody can change past. The future is still open. So I usually make distinction. Generation of 20th century, generation of 21st century. Now, my generation, I think you also, our generation belongs to 20th century. So that century is gone. Now 21st century, just the beginning of 21st century. So if we make certain effort now with vision, then remaining the decades of this 21st century can be more peaceful, more compassionate. Finally, India, most populated democratic country, ancient country, you can make certain significance for better world, more compassionate world. So that's please keep in your mind. The younger generation of this country, the generation of the 21st century, and of course, now we are talking humanity. Not much differences, whether European, whether Indian, whether African, whether Chinese, whether Japanese, same human being. We share same planet. We have to live together. So future of the world, entire 7 billion human beings should learn. So that I want to share. When you introduce me, I'm as a head of temple and Kasa, spirituality. I want to make a correction. Yes, historically, at least last 400 years, 4 centuries, since 5th Dalai Lama institution become head of both temple and spirituality. Now this monk, more more scientific, or I don't like old system. So therefore, as soon as I reach, even when I take the responsibility about the temple power, I start reform committee, some change. Then after 59, when we reach 59, 1 year I spent in Usuri. Once we start work for democratization. So then eventually, 2001, we already achieved elected political leadership. Then my position is semi-retired position. Now 2011, I totally retired. So no longer, because of the to the temple later.
Your Holiness, the Dalai Lama never retires.
Kasa. Yes, I cannot retire from Dalai Lama-ship.
Yes.
But temple power, I can retire. So therefore, I truly now become a simple Buddhist monk. Simple Buddhist monk. Also is one practitioner of Buddhist monk. And I feel really proud. I'm one of the students of Nalendra Masters of complicated philosophy, complicated So therefore, as a student of these Nalendra Masters, I really now convinced some of their sort of knowledge, I think, very, very relevant to today's world. So you are the master. You are the original owner of this knowledge. So please pay more attention.